Of Next Level Conversations. I am Shawnte, your host, and I'm excited tonight. Y'all know what tonight is. It is Ask Me Anything. We started this here recently, and the outpour of questions and information has been overwhelming. I am super excited. I have your questions sitting right here ready to start answering any question that you have for me on tonight. I am going to answer openly and honestly. Hopefully, I do not cry tonight like you've been getting me to do the last couple of times. We're going to work on that on tonight. But what the goal is to make sure that I am, or that me and my team are answering everything and providing you with all of the information that you desire. And so what we use this for is as an open session so that we know how to put together shows, know what it is that you're looking for, things that are on your mind. And so what has happened is you have sent in questions. And I have taken all of those questions and I've put it in my little next level conversation box right here. And I am going to randomly draw a question. I may not get to all of the questions tonight, and any question that I don't get to on tonight, we will keep in the box. And our next episode, we will go through your questions. You can also drop new questions in the chat. Those of you who are joining us live, if you are watching the replay, you can send us questions so that we can go through those on our next episode. So let's get started and see what we got going here now. I'm excited. I am. I'm excited. Okay, let's do our first question. Oh, y'all, you started right off the bat. All right. Okay. What would you tell your 10-year-old self? That's a good one. That's a really good one. That's a really good one. What would I tell my 10-year-old self? My life was in a state of flux at 10 years old. My life was in my life was in probably a very dark place at 10 years old. During that time period, I was being sexually abused. So I had a lot of crazy things running through my head. What sitting here today as I sitting here today talking to my 10-year-old self, I would I would tell myself to speak up, to tell it, even if it seems frightening and it's scary. Don't go silent. Don't kill your voice. Talk. That's what I would tell myself, because at 10 years old I lost my voice. I allowed somebody to completely silence my voice. And I hate that. I hate that for the 10-year-old me. All the things that she wanted to say and never said, the abuse that she took and she was silent about, scared to shake the waters. I would tell her, as I've told her in dreams, speak, tell it. It's okay. Doesn't matter what happens. It's okay. So that's what I would tell my 10-year-old self today. See, I'm telling y'all already started. All right. How do you overcome addiction, and how do I know it's an addiction? Okay. One, I'm going to tell you that I'm talking, this question is directed to me personally. I'm not a licensed anything. I am a certified health coach, but I'm not a licensed therapist or counselor or anything like that. So just as it relates to me and some of the things that I do to deal with my addictions, or the way that I have handled and overcome and beat the addiction in my life. one, how do I know that it's an addiction? Which is the first question. I'm going to answer that one first. When it has so much control over me that it dictates the rest of my life. When it floods into all of my life, I know that it's an addiction. It's got too much control. Something or somebody, because you can be addicted to people. I have in the past gotten addicted to people. I'm addicted to emotions. I'm addicted to habits. So when they take over and I am basing my life, my thoughts, my emotions around that thing or that person, that's how I know that I am in an addictive state. For years I suffered from, and I have a very addictive personality, a very addictive personality. It runs on both sides of my family. So I'm always mindful of the things that I do and the things that I touch. I intentionally said I was never going to do drugs because my addictive personality is so strong. I would be an awesome drug addict. I would just dive in and I would lose myself in it. So I didn't touch drugs, but I touched a lot of other things. The last episode, I let you guys know that one of my major addictions was masturbation. I knew that it was an addiction and I knew that I had a problem because it was controlling all of my life. I would break in the middle of the day to go take care of myself. I would not go around people so that I could just sit and enjoy myself. I would create intimate settings. Oh God, I'm giving y'all too much information. I would create intimate settings and just close out the rest of the world because I was so addicted to the feeling. And it drove everything. It got into every part of my life. It literally infected everything. That's how I knew I was addicted. But more than that, though I kept saying I could stop, I could not stop. I could not stop. I was finding a reason to go back to it every time I turned around. I don't care what I did, I don't care what I said. I found a reason to go back. I would go on fast and I would fast for 30 days, 40 days, maybe even 120 days. One time I think I fasted for a year, but then I found a reason to go back because I was empty. And the same thing with chocolate, and the same thing with even certain people or certain emotions. I was always finding a reason to go back. Like I could not get enough. That's how I knew that I was in the throes of addiction. I was in a state of addiction. How did I get past all of that? Which is, I did a couple of things. One, like they teach in AA, I had to acknowledge that I had a problem. And that was a hard thing to do, that I acknowledged that not so much that masturbating was my problem or overeating was my problem, but that I was empty. There was something missing inside of me. I had to acknowledge that I had a problem, and I had to literally say, I cannot control this. I cannot fix this. And I have got to turn this over to somebody who is much greater and much bigger. And I needed a bigger why to stop. And so when I started my journey, God gave me a why, and my why became me. My why became a healthier me, a whole me. And so that was the major contributing factor in helping me step out of my addiction and helping me to stay out of my addiction, because I realized that the addiction was not serving me. The things that I was doing was not serving me. And I wanted me and a healthy me more than I wanted anything. And so that combined with a lot of other stuff. I mean, I had to change the places. When I'm working to overcome different things, I have to change habits. I have to change people that I go around. I have to change things that I do. So there's a lot of things that I personally step into to help me overcome my addictive states and stay out of levels of addiction. But more than that, I will tell you the biggest thing that helped me to overcome my addiction to masturbating my addiction to eating, my addiction to reading books, my addiction to people pleasing, my addiction to control, all of that. One of the biggest things was I started talking. I started talking about how it was making me feel, the things that I had locked up inside of me. I started talking, and it started making room to release all of the internal pain, and I started getting healed. And where I was constantly trying to feel that emptiness in the bottom of my soul, it no longer was there once I started more healthier habits and started working out and started eating better and remembering why I was doing what I was doing. That helped me overcome those addictions. And that's how I stay I continue in every day, because do not get it twisted. I'm an addict. There's anything but for the grace of God. I'm an addict. So I have to live in that and understand that every single day. So I have to practice all the things that I do every day. Hope that answers your question. That was a long answer. Okay. How do you believe in God or find your way back to Him when you feel so shattered, disappointed, and alone? Ooh, man, y'all got some really good questions on tonight. Okay. How do you believe in God or find your way back to Him when you feel so shattered, disappointed, or alone? I'm going to, for a very long time in my life, for a very long time in my life, I was really, really, really angry with God for a lot of things that happened to me. Even though with my tongue I said that I love God, my heart was very angry with Him. And I felt disappointed. I felt alone. I constantly felt shattered. And so there was a huge separation between us for a very long time. And even now, things come up in my life, and I will feel alone. I will feel separated from God. It feels like. So the how do I get back? Before I walked into this journey and I really connected with God, I had to get to a point first where I forgave God. And I know that sounds crazy, but I faulted God for a lot of things. And so because I faulted Him, He was an enemy to me. Even though I loved Him, He was an enemy to me. I saw Him as an enemy. And so I had to forgive Him for allowing things to happen in my life that caused me pain. And I had to accept that it was His will to take me to a greater place, but I didn't understand it. And so I had to forgive Him for doing what He did, because I was mad. I had to forgive myself for getting upset with Him and making all the decisions that I made from my place of pain. And I had to choose to accept the will of God. And that is what I ended up doing. And so that brought me from a place of separation into a place of connection. And so we came together. So now when life is bothering me, or I feel myself moving out of His presence, or I feel myself going into those feelings, and like, God, why are you letting this happen to me? Why are you doing this? And how, different things like that. When life starts bothering me, I remind myself, I remind myself that all of this is working for my good. It's tight right now and I don't understand it, but I trust God. I didn't trust Him before. I trust Him now. I trust Him totally now. And so when I start to feel disconnected from Him, I start reminding myself of who He is and what He's done and the promises that He told me, because I believe everything that He said. And so what that does when I go into that place of praise, that overshadows those feelings of neglect, those feelings of rejection, that feeling of loneliness. it completely overshadows it. And where I had created that separation, where I was trying to step away from him, it brings us back together. And so we partner back up. That's how I handle when I'm feeling that way. If you had the chance to speak to your younger self with the mindset you have now, what would you tell her for the challenges she is going to face? Very good question. Like I said, like I said a while ago, one, I would tell her, don't go silent. Talk. Talk. It Doesn't matter who doesn't like it. Speak your truth. But the one thing that I definitely think I would tell my younger self is love you more than you love anybody else. Serve you more than you serve anybody else. Think about you more than you think about anybody else. Not in a selfish way, but in a loving way. And value you above all others, because life is going to throw you a lot of different challenges, and you're going to look to a lot of people to make you happy and doing different things. But if you value you and understand you, the things that those people do when they disappoint you and they don't show up for you and they walk away, it'll make life easier, because you will realize that you are who matters, and you will never lose your identity. That's what I would tell her. Value you above all others, because you're worth it. Lord have mercy. Do you, in this time, have a sense of fulfillment based on the things you are accomplishing? Why, yes, I do. I do. I really, really, really do. And it really excites me. Um, I've served people my whole life. I have worked my whole life to make people happy, to do whatever I can for people and serve, because I'm a giver. I've just been giving, 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 from sometimes from an unhealthy place, but always from a loving place. I've served in the church. I mean, just served and worked so diligently my whole life. And I never had any fulfillment. There was always something missing. I never had any fulfillment. I never felt as if I was being effective. I knew that I was helping people and everything, but I never felt fulfilled, like, wow, I'm doing something that's really making a difference. Now, 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 the only way I can describe it is I feel so full. I feel so happy, because now it feels like I am I'm really doing something, and it's about other people, but it's also about me. And the serving that I do and the giving that I do and the sharing that I do, it brings me so much joy, because it's coming not from an empty place. It's coming from a place that is literally so full. It's like I'm bursting, and I cannot wait to share what I have and what God has given me with everybody else, because I know without a shadow of a doubt that if you get this, if you hear this, if you experience this, if you do this, it's going to change your life. And so I absolutely love it. I love talking about God. I love talking with the people. I love listening to stories. I love sharing stories. I love working out. I just feel like now life is I'm finally doing what God wants me to do. I feel like I'm finally walking in the reason why I'm here, and being a witness to the beauty of God. And it feels so good. It does. It feels so good. All right, so let's do our next one. My shirt keeps coming down on me. All right, cool. Name three things you cannot go without because they make you feel whole. Yeah. Yeah. Three things I cannot go without because they make me feel whole. One is the Lord, okay? I'm like David. Don't take your presence away from me. You can take everything else, but I cannot go without God. I cannot. I just cannot do it. Um, what else? Two other things that I cannot go without because they make me feel whole. So God is everything. So when the word that's wrapped up in that, or can I'm gonna use that as one. I cannot go without the word of God. I love my Bible. I love the word of God and everything about the word of God. I cannot. It's impossible for me. I can't go without it. So it's something that I'm in search of every day. A word from God. Um, let's see what else. I probably working out. I really enjoy it. It brings completion and happiness and wholeness and fulfillment to my life. That's what I can think of just right off the top of my head. Of course, food, but you know, I eat for substance now, not for pleasure like I used to. What is your biggest dream in life? What is my biggest dream in life? My biggest dream in life is to step 100% is to is to fully meet me. Is to meet me, I mean meet the highest version of me. That's my biggest dream. That's my biggest dream in life. And I think when I get there, I'm being my biggest flex. Everything that I'm doing right now is so that I can get to the greatest version of me. I have a glimpse of what she looks like. I have a glimpse of the way that she will be living. And so I'm after that. I want to see the highest version, the best version of Shawnte. That's my dream and that's my goal in all the things that she would be doing. Again, I'm not selfish or what's the word I'm looking for, stuck up or anything. I've just really fallen in love with me, and so I'm really interested in just meeting more of me. That's my dream, and just seeing what all she's gonna do. That excites me. That gets me up in the morning. Do you enjoy being a leader? Yes and no. Yes and no. I enjoy I enjoy teaching. I enjoy leadership. I don't always enjoy the road that I have to take to get to the point where I can lead. Let me just put it like that. Because as leaders, leadership is a heavy mantle. It's a lot of work, and leaders have to go through a lot more. Whom much is given, much is required. And while I'm grateful to God for choosing me as a leader and placing me in the position of leadership, I'm not going to pretend with nobody and say that it's always fun and it's always easy. If you understood what I have to go through, the things that the way that I have to challenge myself, the discipline, the chastisement from God, what I have to take from others, the humility, all of it, the responsibility that comes with leadership. It's a role that I accept. I have fully stepped into and accepted it now, but it's not something that I don't walk around all day singing joy, joy, joy. I'm a leader. I'm a leader. Sometimes it's real heavy. It's real heavy, and it's not for the weak of heart. So while I love being a leader and leading and guiding others, it's not always fun. So that's my answer. Huh. What was the defining moment that you realized you chose happiness, self care, and love for yourself? Ooh, you know what? And I know that moment. I do. I know that moment. Um, It happened in 2017. Me and my ex we were not divorced. We were in a state, and he still was not talking. Well, he was talking to me. We had started talking a little more, but not fully. And I had got to the point where I was kind of really enjoying, I was starting to enjoy the life that I was living now because I had been single for so long. But at the same time, I was still sad and I was still mourning that relationship and the loss and the separation. And I remember I was working out, and it was just one of those days where I was in a bipolar state in my emotions. And I think it had been going on for a while, but I was working out, and I remember sitting outside and I was boxing, and I was feeling everything. Tears were just rolling down my face. I was feeling everything. I was tired of having to go at it by myself. I was I was feeling lonely. I was feeling just so confused. I didn't know what the future held. And I trusted God, but I was feeling a lot of stuff at the same time. And I remember somebody told me, it's okay if you go back. It's okay if you turn back. Nobody will nobody will fault you. Nobody will think less of you. It's okay if you go back. And I remember sitting there with tears rolling down my face, and I was boxing. I was just beating on the bag. And I remember saying to myself, but I'm not, because I'm choosing me. And that is the moment. And I don't know, it seemed as if something broke then, because I got a level of strength and I got a level of courage during that time to help me keep going. I had to keep redefining my, why am I going through this? Why am I standing in this? Why? Because God had already told me what to do, and it was still hard for me to do it, even though I was looking forward to what was new. I still wanted what was old, and I was still feeling the pain of it. But I chose, even in the middle of that pain, I chose me. And that was beautiful. That was something I had never did before, because I had a choice, and I made the choice in that moment. I made the choice of me in that moment. And that was big for me. That was big for me. So that was a real defining moment for me. And that has helped me continue to think about me and consider me over everything else. All right. What consistently sparks joy in your life? Well, as y'all can tell, everything. Everything. Um, what consistently gives me joy is the promises and the vision that God has given me. It really lightens me and makes me shine, because I really believe that all the things that God has shown me that I'm going to do, that's going to happen, I really believe that it's going to happen. I have literally drunk the Kool-Aid, and I believe that it's going to happen. So it brings me excitement. And when I take a step and I move and I do something small and simple towards different things, it just brings, I mean, it lights my life up. For example, for example, the other day I created, a little reel in anticipation of this show. So I created this little ask me anything reel. And it's something that I have been visualizing, but I had not been able to do. And I sat down. It took me hours to do it, but I finally did it. And I promise you, I couldn't even sleep that night. I was so excited. It's like my whole day just lit up, because I did something little and simple that I didn't know that I could do. And it was just a step further in the direction of all the things that God said that I can do if I will believe, and if I'll take steps and do them. And then just take action. And so that sparks me. That creates life in me. So I love that. How do you overcome challenges in life? Again, it all goes back to I believe the promises. I do. I believe the promise. I believe that God is faithful to his word. And so when things happen and he tells me, like even right now, when he tells me that he has not forsaken me and he will not forsake me, I believe that. So because I believe that, that helps me face challenges, that helps me deal with hard situations and confusing times. It helps me stand firm and continue to stay in this walk because I believe God. Again, I have drunk the Kool-Aid and I'm not ashamed. I love him. I believe him. And I see evidence of it. It's not just the words. I see evidence of what he said because the Bible says that he's going to tell you what he's going to do before he does what he does. That way when it happens, you will know that he is who he said he is. And so God has been telling me things for a very long time. He told me a lot of things before they happened. And every time it comes to pass, I'm just reminded again, you are who you say you are, and you will do what you say you will do. You will not forsake me. And so, because I believe that, I stand on that. I remind myself of that every morning. I say thank you every morning for that simple understanding, that simple knowledge, that simple promise that he is who he said he is, and he will not forsake me. That helps me deal and face every challenge in life, every single challenge. Do I perfect them? No. But do I stay in that? Yes. Okay. Uh, okay, we got. Let me see. Let me hear. Let me do one more before we wrap up this first section. Have you guys been enjoying me talking to y'all? And hopefully, I'm getting all of your questions. And if you're putting any more questions down in the chat, I'm gonna start answering those in just a second. But let's do this last one. What activity on your bucket list are you currently most looking forward to? Oh, going to Greece, touring Greece. I am the Greek islands is on my bucket list, and I am patiently waiting and looking forward to spending a month just over there, just kicking it so hard. Y'all gonna be begging me to come back home. That's what I'm looking forward to. That is the one thing that I really am, and I plan to get in a lot of trouble. Uh, so this time we are going to begin to take some live questions from our audience, and let's take the first one. How do you know things that you hear from God are actually from Him? That's a very, very, very good question, and I always have to give context. There was a point in time in my life when I had so many voices in my head. For real, I literally thought that I was schizophrenic. I had my mom's voice, I had pastors' voices, I had siblings' voices, I had voices from people on TV, I had my abusers' voices, I had voices that I had made up, I had friends' voices, I had so many people talking to me because I hoarded words, I hoarded things that people said. And so I lived my life listening to just way too many people. It was just too many voices. Do this, don't do that. It should be like this, do this. It was too many voices, and it was driving me insane. And there was always a very silent voice that I call it something. That's what I call it. There would always be that voice that would say something, and it would be silent. It would seem as if it was contradictory to everything everybody else said. And I would ignore that voice. I always did. And on the rare occasions that I listened to something, always worked out in my favor, always brought me happiness, always brought me joy. But that something voice was not a voice that I could attach to a body, that I could attach to to a situation or something. So I was dependent upon voices that I knew and recognized. So I ignored the voice of God for a very long time until probably about 2008 when life just got so crazy. And I remember hearing something say, you just gonna continue in what you're doing. And during that time period, I just came to this realization. There was a lot more that happened, but I'm trying to shorten it down. There was a lot more that happened, but I came to the realization that something is the most ignored voice in my life. And I'm going to just make the decision to start listening to something, because we all do it. Every last one of us will be like, some told me to do that. Some told me not to go down there. Some told me to go ahead and go to the store. Something is the most popular voice, but it's also the most ignored voice ever. And so I made the decision to start listening to something. In 2008, I just said, every time something says something, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to listen to something over everybody else. And because I started doing that, I started listening, I started making something loud. All the rest of the voices started becoming silent because I started ignoring them. And that's when I realized that was the voice of God. And it was always directing me right. But at that time, I did not know the full character of God. I just knew that I was following something. Then in 2016, I started to really learn the character of God and really, really, really dive into what God sounded like. And so that's how I really connected something with the voice of God. And that's how I move. That's how I move. That's how I listen. That's how I know. I listen to that voice, and I know what God sounds like. I know I can recognize now that don't sound like God. He don't talk like that. He doesn't treat me like that. He doesn't think like that. So when I start thinking thoughts that are contrary to him, I can immediately recognize that's not him. And something will always say, challenge the voice, challenge it. And that's how I know. That's how I know, and that's what I follow. So hopefully that helps. Would you be open to an opportunity to mentor youth? Of course. Yes. Even though I don't like them that much, I'm 100% in. I do work with them all the time. I'm just playing. I don't like them, but I will mentor youth. um, who is the one person you look up to? Hmm, that's a good one. I actually look up to quite a few people. Who's the one person that I look up to? His kids are gonna get me again. And it sounds crazy. I don't even know how to describe it though. One person that I really look up to and I really admire is my boss. He is the craziest man in the world. He has a different philosophy. He has y'all. He's so nutty, but his heart is so beautiful. His wisdom is beyond anything I mean, he's just such a great mind, such a loving individual. You have to get to know him. And so I love the way he loves. I love the way he thinks. I love the way he handles people. I love the way he lives life. And I really look up to him, have for a very long time. So yeah, I'm that girl. What is your favorite childhood memory? Girl, what is my favorite childhood memory? What is my favorite? Okay, I have a lot, but what's my favorite childhood memory? What's my favorite? You know what? Any Christmas. We was just talking about this with my mama. Any Christmas, my mom, who is the absolute greatest. Okay, she would. We didn't have a lot of money, so at Christmas time, she did two things. She baked all seven of her kids their own personal dessert. So mine was always a pineapple cake, but everybody got a dessert that was special to them. And She always filled our, she made us those Christmas stockings, and she filled them with every possible good thing. I mean, all sorts of nuts, the long candy canes, apples. I mean, we look forward to the Christmas stocking more than we look forward to the gifts, because we were only probably going to get one or two gifts and it wasn't going to be anything major. But the Christmas stockings were phenomenal. And she spent so much time just, creating our stocking and filling them. And it was just, I mean, love like no other put into those Christmas stockings and those desserts during Christmas. That's how she showed her love, and she gave to us in a way that will never be forgotten. Because I can't even remember what half the gifts were, but what I remember is every single year those Christmas stockings, they will all be lined up, everybody's name, and we ran to the Christmas stockings before we ran to open up any gifts under the Christmas tree. Everybody wanted to go through their Christmas stocking because we loved them, and especially them big old, those big candy canes. Absolutely love them. Those are my favorite childhood memories. When will you unleash your faith to the supernatural call from the Lord to have you revamp women's conference? The word, oh, um, yes, Tamika, I will get right on that. What is your ultimate self care hack? Spending time every single morning in the Word, one on one. That's my ultimate, beyond everything, because that's the one thing that cannot be, it is not affected by anything else. The world can shut down and you can't get to the gym, um you can't go to the mall, you can't go get your nails done, you can't do all of that stuff. But spending time every single morning with a hot cup of hot water, lemon and honey, in my robe, in my bed, with my Bible, talking to God, in my journal every morning while the world is quiet. That's my major self-care hack. Love it, covet it, will not give it up. That's my thing. What are some fun things you like to do outside of God's word and the gym? Oh, does hiking count? I like to hike. I love vacationing. I like dancing. I love hanging out with my girls. They may not think that I do, but I really, really, really love just sitting and talking and laughing with the people that I love. Absolutely love it. Love spending time with my family. Love just looking at hanging out with my nieces and nephews. They bring me joy. I'm not a big going out to eat girl, but I like hiking. I like skating, and I know those are exercise things, but those things are fun to me. I love hiking the jungles and exploring different caves and different things like that, going into different cities. I love driving. I love taking long drives. What else do I like? uh yeah, that's probably, you know I'm not that fun, but I like to do fun things. Okay. Oh, that's a. Who is your favorite kid, Caddy, Judge, or Sailor? Oh, 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 oh. Okay, I'm supposed to be honest, right? I'm supposed to be honest. That's just wrong. That's wrong. That is so wrong. Who's my favorite kid? Let's see. Probably Caddy. Probably Caddy. Sailor is so much like me. So, of course, I love her, but we bump heads. Judge is so much like his daddy. I love him, but we bump heads. Caddy is just her own unique individual who is so sensitive and so loving and sweet and vulnerable. And I don't know. There's something that soft spot about her that I think has to be protected, and it just makes me love her and wanna cover her even more. So, and she's goofy, really goofy, and not afraid to try and do crazy things. So that of those three, yeah. Don't answer. I shouldn't have. She said wrong answer. So yeah, those were Sharasha. That was one of my favorite memories. I just didn't want to embarrass Kizzy. Um, okay, so those are the last ones on that. That was actually fun. Those were fun. So I'm going to pick up just a couple of more of these since I have a little bit of time, a little bit more time. Hopefully, I don't get one. Off the top of your head, what was your favorite day in life so far? Huh. That's a very interesting question. And y'all gonna think I'm crazy. Especially, life is so funny. It will take you through so many things. And honestly, and I'm being honest, my favorite day in life so far, and I've had some beautiful days, but I haven't had a day. My favorite day still in life so far was August 3rd, 2002, when I got married. Believe it or not, that was the most perfect day. That was the sweetest day, and that's still one of my favorite days. It's still a beautiful memory, even after all that has happened. All it's still it's probably still one of my top favorite days that I can think of just right off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure I can come up with some more, but just right off the top of my head, that's been my favorite day in life. I know that sounds crazy, right? Anyway, anyway, what wakes you up in the morning, and how does your daily routine facilitate your overall well-being? I think I've answered that in a couple of different iterations about my time with God every morning. But what did this say? What wakes me up in the morning? Was that what it was? What wakes you up in the morning? Well, the Lord, because I can't get up on my own. But what gets me up, going, and excited again is hope and possibility. The unknown. I've been a girl who didn't like the unknown, but now I've stepped into the unknown, and to I look forward to the unknown, and that gets me up because I want to see and know what the day, let's see what we're going to get today. So that makes me excited. That's how I approach every day. Jesus. Time ain't up yet. All right. What's your fear? Lord have mercy. What's my fear? My greatest fear is not living up to my full potential. It is not living up to who I fully am. Cutting myself short. That's my greatest fear. So I work really hard to just keep challenging myself past that fear. So yeah, that is. What would you change about yourself? Not physically. What would I change about myself? What would I change about myself? That's a real good question. What would I change about myself? I've gotten to the point, like for real life. If y'all would have asked me this question 10 years ago, I would have went down the line and it would have been massive. Ask Tasha. I would have gave you a list of so many things. But now I don't know that I would change anything about myself. I've just gotten to a point where I really, I mean, for real, and I'm not trying to be. I just really love myself now. Because I'm starting to really see me and really experience me, and I'm just really in love with it, with me. And so I don't know that I would have to really think about that, but I don't know that I would change anything about me because I think it's all of me that allows me to be me. And so I've just gotten to the point in life that I don't know that I would change anything about me, even physically. It used to be I would think of a lot of things, even physically, to change about myself. I just, I don't, I love all of me. I do. I mean, like, I would date myself. I'll marry, which I have. I've married myself. You know, I do me because I love me. Okay. How do you deal with anxiety attacks? Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Um, uh, I quote Psalms 23. That's my first go to. Psalms 23 is my first go to. When I start feeling it, when I start feeling the anxiety and the panic coming in, I'm hitting Psalms 23. I'm starting to quote it over and over and over and over again. And when I've quoted it and I've calmed down a little bit, I'll sing "You Are My Strength" by William Murphy. That's the song that I'll go into just to help me bring myself back into back into connection, because when I have anxiety attacks, it's because I have stepped away from God. That's just me, not anybody else, but that's what God showed me about myself. When I go when I'm connected with him and I'm trusting him and I'm following in behind him, I'm good. But the moment I decide to step off to the side or let God keep going and I'm gonna hang back here because I'm not trusting him, I start to feel anxiety and panic because now I'm going at it alone. As long as I'm going at it with him, I'm good, good, good. But the moment I start saying, because I will say, I'll think it real quick and it'll happen just like that. I'll think that God can't handle it. And so I'll stop and I'll start looking around and I'll separate myself and I have to come back, so that anxiety hits me real quick. So I quote, "The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. He making me to lie down in green pastures." I mean, I will sit and I'll say it over and over and over again until I calm down, and then or I'll go into "You are my strength." That's how I handle anxiety attacks. All right, all right. We have time for just a few more questions before I close it out. What inspired you to work in the field you are in? Well, that's pretty easy. Um, a lot of you don't know me, and some of you do. I am a civil litigation paralegal. Have been doing that since I've been in the legal field since I was 19 years old. Something I always knew that I was going to do from a very little girl, and I did it because the little girl that I was did not get justice. And so I went into the legal profession to give other people a voice and help them get justice in any respect. So and I love it. I'm a girl who's blessed to be doing something that I mean, I would do it for free. Do not tell my boss that because I enjoy getting paid. But it's something that I love to do. I find passion and fulfillment in it. I enjoy giving people their voice and their opportunity. So that's why. How do you maintain your energy for long work hours and unpredictables in your life? One, I I make sure that I'm eating properly so that I can balance my hormones and my energy levels. I do make sure that I take my vitamins. I work out, that gives me extra energy. I go to bed. And when I go to bed, I actually sleep. I do not, I release the day. I completely release the day before I get into bed. Everything from today, I leave it in today. And everything that's going to be for tomorrow, I leave it for tomorrow. But I fulfill everything that I need to do in the day that I'm in, such that when I go to sleep, I rest. And that consistently gives me energy. I'm not trying to catch up on what I should have been doing on the assignments that God has given me, on people that I should have been talking to that I didn't. I don't pull off until tomorrow the things that I can do today. I fulfill my day and I do all the things that I'm supposed to do. And that is how I have the energy combined with exercising and eating right to do what I do. And that, my dear loves, concludes this week's episode of Ask Me Anything. That was truly, truly, truly fun. I want to thank all of you for your questions, for your laughter, for just, just participating with us. I want to remind you, if you have not joined, if you have not downloaded Next Level Magazine, go and download and subscribe to Next Level Magazine. We're running a special right now. Also, every Wednesday, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, go and do that so that you can get the replays, not just of tonight, but our prior shows, as well as our podcast. We're dropping one every week. I think we just released one. So make sure that you go and subscribe and follow us. And more importantly, go tell a friend. Did you invite somebody to tonight's show? You can join us every single Wednesday here on Next Level Conversations. Invite somebody, tell somebody about what you heard and how you've been blessed. I want to thank you. Thank you always for your love, for your patience, for joining us every week. I want you to know that we love you. And until next week, go be great.